Whitaker here, and today we are giving you 6 tips that will help you out as you explore Hogwarts and the surrounding world. These are some pretty basic tips, but these are a few I wish I had learned early in my playthrough. Starting us off at tip number 1, we're going to talk about Revelio. This spell is king. I would not underestimate its value. Since you can see things through walls, it makes finding useful items significantly easier. You can get the upgraded version at level 16 through the talent tree, but I'm not saying you should get it. I made use of it and would still put a point into that talent on subsequent playthroughs, but it's not for everyone. Use it whenever and wherever you can, especially if you want to hunt for all of the collections in the game. Tip number 2. This is a pretty simple one. Make regular trips to Hogsmeade and sell off your stuff. If you don't do this, you can quickly fill up your bag and either have to miss out on potentially better gear or lose Gillians by destroying something you have in your inventory. Just pop into Hogsmeade between quests or every so often to empty it. The further you get into the game, the more Merlin trials you can complete, the more inventory space you'll have, which means the less you'll actually have to do this, but early on I would consider it very important. Alright, moving through, tip number 3. It took me a bit to figure out, embarrassingly enough, but you can change your appearance. Go ahead and open your gear page and hover over the piece of gear you would like to transmog. You can see the prompt on the bottom of the stat block. For PC, it's F, which will bring you to a menu. You can choose from all the appearances you have collected so far. You don't actually need to save any actual gear, so selling or destroying it is fine for the most part. And it does not cost anything to do this. Tip number 4. This one has to do with your spell bars. I would suggest to put talents into unlocking at least 2 of them. But what we are talking about specifically today is creating combos. In order to give you the best chance, I would advise having at least one of each type of spell on any bar in particular, and try to think about how they would benefit each other. 1 control, which is the yellow one force spell, which is the blue one, and 1 red spell, which is damage. I do generally have a bar that has random spells in case of utility, or if there's a combat challenge which calls for something I don't normally use and I can switch to it real fast. Spells like Accio and Incendio work really well together because Incendio doesn't have a very good range and you can pull them in close. Things like that. Just start thinking about any combo that you would want to use during a fight. Alright, which pulls us into tip number 5. Having your spell bar set up is important, but to be able to survive long enough to use it, I personally think that everyone should have a strong focus on defense. Getting the timings for your Protego, your Stupefy, your rolls, and your Ancient Magic should be your first priority. If you can get those timings down, spell weaving will become way easier and more natural, allowing you to last longer in combat, while giving you pretty decent fundamentals to build off of. Being able to successfully juggle multiple groups of enemies will definitely help in the later game. Here is a bonus tip that I just thought of before we get to number 6. You don't always need the exact spell type to break a shield. A perfect Protego, Stupefy, Ancient Magic Throw, or part of your Ancient Magic meter will also break shields, no matter what the color. Alright, onto our 6th and final tip. A lot of enemies in Hogwarts Legacy have weaknesses, such as spiders being weak to fire. But there are specific times during combat and specific spells that do even more damage. Casting Descendo on a Matriarch Spider right before our big attack does a lot of extra damage. So if you head to your menu, go into Collections, and click on the Enemy tab, hover over the enemy you're interested in. Usually it will give you a description or a hint on how to better defeat that enemy. Sometimes it doesn't, but if that's the case, there's probably nothing special about that particular enemy anyway. If you've enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. This is the Adequate Gaming channel. I'm Whitaker. Until next time.